This is Blisspoint's Album of the Year coverage. Very first time being put to tape. I'm very excited. Not actually tape, digital tape, but you knew that. We are doing a March Madness style bracket, which is probably dumb, but in the grand scheme of like critical music ratings and Album of the Year, March Madness is probably the best treatment you could give a bunch of albums that you love, because arbitrarily ranking them in terms of which one's better is kind of dumb to begin with. But here we are doing it. And Paul, do you want to give us your spiel about how good these albums are?
Yeah, because you act as if this is a thing I just tell people on the street.
Yeah.
But
he's
really the crux of it is this, folks. Everything that made this bracket is great. I'd recommend you check it out, see if it's up your alley. This bracket's mainly for fun. We're not claiming that whatever makes it to the end. I mean, we know how brackets work. There's an element of luck, but this is just, let's see who comes out on top.
Yep. And everything
Hopefully nothing of Billy's, because fuck us.
No synthwave. Actually, there is one synthwave.
You're darn right there is.
One here. And so everything's equally weighted going in, so everything has an equal chance of being number one, except for this thing that I know is going to lose. But so our first matchup is we have at the number one seed, Kississippi band. Album name is Sunset Blush, versus the 16 seed, Ovlov band, and album name is True. And Kississippi is pretty awesome. Billy, do you want to give us your kind of quick spiel on why Kississippi belongs here?
Yeah, so Kississippi was one of my first albums of the week back in the beginning of the year, and it's one that's kind of stuck with me throughout the entire year, which I can't say for all of them. Some of them I loved right off the bat, and then kind of faded, but this one's one that stuck through, which I really kind of appreciate and give credit to. The way that the album's recorded is very unique and it's really tight. It's well produced. It's put together well, and it sounds like almost like a really well done bedroom DIY, dream pop album
For sure.
But the way that they mix and produce everything, her vocal style, the way it stands out on the mix is awesome. And just overall, I mean, the songs are great. There's enough variance in the album to keep me interested all the way through, but yet it still sounds like a cohesive and complete album. I just really like everything that she really wrote everything. I think she's a good lyricist. She's a good songwriter. And
She's got some very nice vocals.
Very nice vocals.
For sure.
So I agree on every point. The vocal harmonies are so lush, and good on them in this era of digital for just doing it the right way, even if you're tracking the same vocalist twice. Like, it just, when they use some kind of just like a digital harmonizer, it doesn't have the same thing to it.
Right. And it definitely, I think, adds to the emotion of the whole thing, and really lends itself to the genuineness. Is that a word?
Authenticity.
Yeah, sure.
Authenticity.
There you go.
Yes. I feel like this album rates highly in authenticity, especially with it being a debut. Like it shows a lot, and I think has me really excited for what she does next. Yeah. For sure.
I also hold a double standard for dream pop. I was telling you guys earlier, her voice is amazing. Male dream pop vocalists make me want to punch him in the shoulder.
Trash.
Get off the stage,
trash.
nerd.
And one thing that kind of, I think, gives this album an edge over Ovlov's True is the fact that this album, to me, felt a little more dynamic. And Ovlov's is great, but is kind of one kind of pastel of the same color and production style. And I feel like at least her vocals are always going to provide way more dynamics to a song than Ovlov's vocals do. But yeah, Ovlov, the album True, I think is a great album. It goes without saying because it's on the list. I don't need to keep saying that.
Please do.
Yeah, it's one that is going to be on my end of the year list just because of how much I listen to it. I really can't break away from it. It's super catchy and kind of hits you in all the right places, has some nice hooks, has some really cool, chunky, fuzzy lo-fi guitar, and the whole thing kind of, everything on this album sounds like it was kind of recorded in a tin can, which to me is endearing, but to others may be kind of obnoxious or I don't know, indie for indie's sake. But
It's what I like out of this genre, though.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah,
really
for
simple
sure.
production. This one's going to be in rotation for a while for me.
yeah, it's going to be, I'll probably bump it probably forever. It's one of those albums that's just going to stick with me. But I feel like I am leaning, and probably the room is leaning towards Kississippi.
Yeah. But if you want to be a cool kid, tell your friends about Ovlov.
It's true.
Be
Very
super
true.
hip.
Very true.
2 releases over the course of 10 years. Nobody knows.
Yeah, real small time deal. But Billy, did you have any final thoughts?
No, I'm happy that the number 1 seed continues through. They don't pull UVA. We're all good.
Yeah, just serial chokers. But yeah, thanks for tuning in. This is part 1 of however many parts it takes to get to a final answer. So thanks. Up next, we have our 2 seed, Lord Huron, Vide Noir, versus our 15 seed, Tom Misch, Geography. No more loud phones. No more time for any bullshit. Because
No
we're going to
more
jump right
time.
into it. Let's talk about Lord Huron first. Vide Noir. I feel like all of us are surprised at how good that album is.
What's it up against?
Mr. Tom Misch,
Oh.
Geography.
What are we going to do?
Yeah, I'm really glad that we took the time to listen to both kind of front to back, just to at least get a good sense of what they were. And it's made this a lot harder for sure.
Yeah, it did.
But Huron, I think the production is, I mean, they're both produced immaculately. I think Huron's probably more my production style in that it's a little more lo-fi, but it's got that cool, like, old school country western. What's that microphone that he uses? It's got like it's like it sounds like a very old school microphone. I forget what it's called, but
It's not like a bullet mic, is it?
I don't think so. Maybe. But in any case, I really like that album a lot. What do you guys think? How are you feeling?
No, it's really solid. You know me, the bass is perfect in the mix,
Yes.
which is something I'm always looking for. Guitar kind of takes a back seat. They're doing a lot of more the wet kind of atmospheric reverb
Which
trails.
is I thought was a cool choice for that type of band for sure.
Really like the vocals. Like the songs are well written. I think not every single one is a gem, but
Yeah.
it's really strong.
Yeah.
I think something that is a pro and a con to both of these albums, and a weird similarity between the two is their strong suit is definitely in the production and the mixing.
Yes.
And the songwriting is very cool. And vocals on both, I feel like, kind of take the back seat. With Lord Huron, the production is awesome. Like Paul was talking about, the instrumentation is very clear. There's a bunch of cool space within the songs and everything, so the dynamics really come through. But vocals, it's his typical vocal style where it's very just calm and tranquil and kind of in the background,
Yeah.
almost like it's not really the focus of the
Right.
track necessarily. Which is kind of the same with Tom Misch. It's his production's always forward with his guitar work and everything like that, and his vocals, which are good, still kind of come secondary to his awesome guitar work and
Yes.
production style.
Yeah.
For sure.
But I'll say, well, no, that's not fair. I can't say that the Lord Huron production's like all that unique in that genre compared to what he's doing with his jazz funk thing.
Yeah, I think, at least for me, it feels like a fresher sound in the modern landscape. Lord Huron, that is.
Right.
But yeah, it's certainly not unique at all. Trying to think of what else really stood out. Like, they're kind of neck and neck for me, just because there's a couple duds on both
Right.
that I couldn't really get into.
Yeah. The problem too, though, is the duds on the Misch album. It's like when when those are kind of not great, it's like an album you'd buy at Starbucks,
Sure.
and it's just by virtue of what genre it's in.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
Which is funny you say that because I also feel like you walk into a Starbucks and you see like Lord Huron just like sitting at the register because that's like their
yes.
sponsored album of the month or
Absolutely,
something. Like
absolutely, yes.
they're both that kind of
They
like
both
coffee
are-
house kind
yes,
of like
very safe kind of indie picks.
Yeah.
Okay.
Not to say that they're bland, but yeah, for sure. There's nothing too challenging about either listen.
right.
Let's see how we can go about this. The Lord Huron album doesn't have a De La Soul track, so there's that.
That is true. That is a good nitpick. And it's
point geography.
I think yeah, I do like the features a lot. I think we talked about this before we started recording, but Tom's vocals are very beautiful, and I think he has a very nice singing style, but I don't think he necessarily stands out. So it's nice to have those features to kind of break up
Yeah.
the flow of some tracks. And he doesn't go overly heavy with features, whereas Lord Huron, I kind of wish the whole thing was instrumental almost.
Right.
Not that I don't know. I don't know how you guys feel though.
I feel like I'm on the fence. I think
I
we all
know.
expected this to skew towards Tom Misch.
Yeah, I think maybe another nitpick is what album do you guys see yourself listening to more long term, or do you think either of these makes your list if you had to pick one?
I don't know if either of them would make my like top 10 of the year list. I feel like Tom Misch for some reason was just a nice refreshing listen.
Sure.
In this like day and age where it's just a lot of overproduced like digital synth production, like to hear that mix of, and he produces all of his own stuff, so to hear that mix between the live instrumentation and the digital stuff, it was refreshing to me. Which the same could be said for Lord Huron, that it's all, live instrumentation for the most part. But
But I think you're more cognizant of that with Tom Misch because
Right.
of his background as a producer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Even hip hop, like
And that guitar sounds incredible.
yeah.
That sounds really, really
what did
good.
you you it?
Oh, I likened it to, I think it's a British continuum, John Mayer's continuum.
That's
Yeah.
And I
that's
think
very
it's a
well
good
said.
comparison.
right, just skewing a little more jazz than
Yes.
blues.
Yeah. And more hip hop for sure. So it sounds like you're leaning Tom Misch, Billy.
Yeah, it's tough, but I'm gonna put my vote for Tom Misch.
Okay.
I don't know. I feel like the highs and lows we experienced listening to these, the highs were much higher in the Tom Misch album, but it's so much closer than we expected.
To add another nitpick to the list, Lord Huron did not elicit a "oh shit" reaction from you when we started, when we started Tom Misch, because I think we all kind of forgot about yes, we all liked that Geography album, but starting it, we're like, oh shit, this is what this album is.
Yeah.
So I think that kind of settles it. I think then we're going Tom Misch.
All right.
All right, yeah.
All right.
Tom
Look at that, the
Misch
upset.
edges out Lord Huron.
Yeah, just barely. For sure. And next we have our third seed, Middle Kids Lost Friends, versus our 14 seed, Casey, Where I Go When I Am Sleeping. Only stick work from now on, all the time. I'm only going to listen to songs with stick work in them.
Yeah, you just don't want him to actually hit the drum head.
No, fuck it. I don't like when people hit snares. I hate snares that sound like beach balls. You know, the ones where it's real loose. It's like boom. It's not a snare. It's
Yeah.
a fucking tom.
I too like when drummers tune their
Fucking
kit.
idiots.
I think we can all agree on
Morons.
that.
Anyway, let's talk about Middle Kids. I think I'm definitely leaning Middle Kids for sure.
Let's not mince words. It's a goddamn blowout.
Yes, Middle Kids from front
Hey,
to back.
Billy,
Well,
how you feeling over there?
let's
Okay,
slow
let's
down.
pump the brakes.
Let's
pump
slow
the brakes.
down. These are two very good albums.
Yes, I
you
like
say
them both.
so.
I think Paul does not really like the Casey album all that much.
It has
Well,
its moments.
Yes, it
Not
does.
Casey Musgraves, so it's okay.
She should be on this list.
No, absolutely not. Absolutely not.
Look, you
Back
got
on topic.
30 albums on this list, and I got half a one. So anyway, what do you want to say about Casey? I want to
No, we
hear,
can talk about Middle Kids.
You know, that's the price of being hip, Jordan.
because you guys shared Middle Kids.
We did
for your album
and
of
so,
the week.
And so yes, I don't want to take anything away from Middle Kids because it's an incredible album, and even turning it back on just now and listening to it through, I mean, it's a great album.
It's super good.
It's got this great blend of country and indie. To me, it's got this great Jenny Lewis kind of vibe. Her voice is incredible. The album flows really well.
Mm-hmm.
There's a good balance of, kind of hard-hitting songs mixed with some nice, slower ballad-type songs. And so, for me, this is going to be a very tough choice.
Yes.
Because I like both of these albums a lot.
Yeah, I think Middle Kids is definitely what I'm more into nowadays. I feel like if I had listened to Casey like 8 years ago, like they would be probably one of my favorites. And I still think that they are a very good band, and I really want to listen to that album more. It's, to me, their sound is like a time and place for me. And I think the harder songs on that record, the Where I Go When I'm Sleeping, are fucking incredible. I think they do it very, very well. And I think their blend of post-rock and emo and hardcore, I think, is not unique, but at least different for the genre as it stands. Because everybody's kind of into that pop-punk, like
Right.
Boston Manor kind of style right now, which is hit or miss for me, and I like the Casey style for sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, Paul, what do you? I know you love Middle Kids a lot more, but
Yeah, I mean, for me, the hardcore leaning stuff on the Casey album is the strength for me. I was never really into the emo scene, so that's probably the deciding factor.
Sure.
As, really hard on the sleeve and sort of, or at least heartfelt as some of the slower tracks are.
Yeah.
It's just not for me. Whereas the Middle Kids album, I mean, I could listen to that on repeat.
yeah, and it's I hate saying digestible as if it's like super easy and like dumbed down, but I think it's just a nice, pleasant kind of poppy album.
Yeah.
And it's got some cool, interesting production tricks that they do. Like the guitars are not what you would typically hear on an album of that style.
Right.
And the vocalist is insane.
This is going to sound like a weird comparison, but for me, it's sort of like that Nancy Sinatra thing where it's not really a country album, but the way that they're singing
Yes.
evokes a certain thing with that voice. So it's almost like an accessible thing for people that don't like country, but might be able to appreciate
Yeah, for
with
sure.
some amazing
Some nice
singing
nice
with
little,
a country lilt.
nice little baby steps. So yeah, I guess Billy, it's kind of up to you. I mean,
It's not up
not
to
up
me.
to
It's
you,
2 against 1.
but
Yeah, this is America.
well,
But I understand.
I don't want to make it democratic in that way.
No,
if you're
no.
upset with it, I know you like both,
And
all
that's
equally.
my thing. Is so I will not be upset with either one winning here. Is the whole point. So I can't say that I as the resident emo kid here, obviously I love Casey, and I've got to say they're probably my favorite new emo band that's come out in the last 10 years probably. And it's very sad to me that they decided to call it quits, and this will be the last album we ever get from them.
Right.
And I'll have to go without ever seeing them live because they chose to never play in the United States.
It's true.
But I am okay with going with Middle Kids because I also think that this is, as far as like you guys were talking about with the accessibility and diversity of the album and the different crowds that could get into it, I do think that this album as a whole is just so well put together.
Yeah,
And,
there's nothing wrong with it if you just have a connection to the Casey album.
Right. But I can appreciate that Middle Kids, I mean, that album is awesome. So
Yeah, and I think it's awesome to me that on our first year doing this, well, it's surprising both ways because one, as much as you and I listen to emo music, I guess I shouldn't be that surprised because I know Paul's not really into it. I'm surprised we didn't put more emo on here.
Yeah.
We kind of forced it on, and that but also I think it's a testament to the fact that like Casey is a real standout emo release for
Yes.
this year, and I'm really happy that we do have at least one emo record on this list because that genre does mean a lot to me, and I think it is one of my favorites currently. And it's awesome that it's on here.
Yeah, and I don't want to, you think it's all negative on my end. I mean, even the slower emo tracks, especially if you're somebody who deals with mental health issues, like it's a very heartfelt album. It's really honest, and if you're in the right headspace, it probably is something you could connect with a lot.
And like we were joking while we were listening to it, it's emotionally exhausting. Like we didn't even really give the full effect to kind of settle in.
Right.
We just kind of took, snippets of everything just to kind of remind us. But I've coming out of listening to that album, like drained emotionally. Like it is very affecting, which is incredible that something like that can do that to you. So very high praise for both. But Middle Kids, Lost Friends takes the dubs.
All right.
Up next, we have our 4 seed, Rolling Blackouts, Coastal Fever, Hope Downs, versus our 13 seed, Covet, effloresce. Let's start with, what's the higher seed? Rolling Blackouts, Coastal Fever. I know, just said it. Completely forgot about it. I like this album a lot. I think it's really good.
Good. I'm glad it made a list.
Yeah, I feel like ever since we featured this one in regular episodes, it's been the dark horse as far as this end of year list.
I think so. I spent a lot of time with it because I had to clean my garage one weekend, and that was the only thing that I wanted to listen to. So I kind of listened to that for like 12 hours straight over 2 days. And it's going on my end of year list just because of how catchy it is and really how digestible it is. It's only like 35 minutes. It kind of gets in and gets out. They don't really waste a lot of time with hooks or, building riffs or anything like that, which is why I love it. But now that we've heard both back to back, I think I'm leaning the other way, but I don't know. Billy, I don't know if you really said all that much about Rolling Blackouts or BCF.
Yeah, so it's one that has seemingly got away from me over and over again this year. But every time we listen to it, I tend to enjoy it, which is weird because it's like I enjoy it when we listen to it, but I don't necessarily go back and follow through with really listening to it more or even closer. But it is a solid album, and I like you said, it's quick, which I enjoy because I like it's still a full-length album, but it just cuts through real quickly. There's a lot of good tracks on it. It just flows really nicely. But for some reason, I can't come back to it like I want to.
Sure.
And I don't know what it is about it, because it does have some hooks. It is catchy, but for some reason, I'm not coming back to it.
Yeah, it may not be super sticky. Like,
I don't know.
Like all of the reasons that I love it, it also may not have staying power for those reasons.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
But it's interesting because I consider it something that has a lot of accessibility.
It does, right?
I mean, it's not top 40 bullshit, but you could certainly put it on. It'll please a room.
Yeah.
I don't know. In the layering on the guitar tracks is really nice. I think they have that 3 guitar attack.
Yeah, and he's got that cool. I think they're Australian. It does. It sounds like he has an accent.
Yeah,
and he's got that nice kind of not twang, but kind of timbre to his voice that I think adds to the music and makes it this really cool, loose, beachy kind of feeling album. But I think at this point it's kind of belaboring the point, and that I'm getting to is I think I want to go with Covet, but I guess we should talk about it first.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Covet has a lot going for it.
Yeah.
The thing is, in the genre it's from, that kind of math rock tapping guitar sound, I love it.
Yes.
But it kind of sounds like a lot of things in that genre already.
True. That is very true.
So something that I can't necessarily explain with Covet, but the reason that I like it so much is because I don't there's some math rock that I really like, and this is one that stands out because there's some level of emotion that just comes from the tapping, the songwriting. It tells, this is super lame and stupid, but it seems to tell some sort of story.
Yeah.
It's not just necessarily songwriting for the
Noodling.
sake of being
Yeah, it's-
technical and precise, and let's see what I can do with different time signatures and different techniques.
Right, an instrumental track can go somewhere.
Right,
It can have
exactly. And so this one
direction.
really has a lot of emotion and feeling, and it weaves in a way that keeps you interested for the whole 6 tracks. And it's something that stands out to me as far as math rock goes, because I don't think that necessarily gets captured in the genre, that option.
And let's not forget, we had to give it a special award.
Oh, we did. And I honestly think I don't think we've talked about anything more this year than trying to figure out.
I
what the fuck
haven't Googled
that
anything
feature
else more
is.
than this.
There, we'll get into it, but yes, I totally agree. I don't think it's stupid at all to say that, by the way, because I just, no matter, every time I hear this album, it just immediately, like, the guitar tones and just the way she plays the guitar and pulls notes out of it just feels so natural and fluid. It feels like a waterfall in my head. Like,
Right?
it's not like numbers and notes to me.
Right.
It just becomes a different thing. And I think that's kind of why I like it. I've always been into math rock, but this year more so than any, I've really started to become way more discerning in what I really attach to and what I don't. And this has so many similarities to Toe to me and Toe is one of my favorites in the genre. And I feel like they kind of capture that feeling without having any vocals. Just that really dark, kind of wistful, forlorn kind of sound that just pours out of Covet that I love so much.
Yeah, and the funny thing about that, since you're making the Toe comparison, they achieved that sound with 2 guitars, and with Covet, it's just one guitarist with a 2-hand tapping. It's great.
Yeah, and that's another.
And it's a tight 3-piece.
Yes.
A lot of times in math rock, you get this crazy 7-piece prog band or something. This sounds really clean. It's stripped away. It's not too busy.
And it's produced very cleanly as well. It doesn't feel claustrophobic. It feels very big for such a small 3-piece.
For me, it comes down to I see myself reaching for the Covet album a lot more over time. Billy, for you, what would you see yourself listening to regularly if you had to choose?
Again, like when we talk about Covet, my mind goes specifically to that single, but in a good way. I can hear it, like right as soon as we start talking about it. I know exactly, I can hear it in my head. With the other album, we talk about it. I know the general sound, but there's no particular song that sticks out in my head or anything like that.
You're not talking straight. It's always stuck in my head though.
That's true.
Like, strangers just see me mouth it on a train.
It's a great song. It's a great song. But I think that also speaks to it though. Like, yes, we talked about that dumb feature a lot, but it's also I think it's helped because of how interesting that track was.
Yeah.
Because if we didn't like it so much, I don't think we would be talking about it as often as we are.
Right.
And it kind of helped create that story for us this year. And it's something that I will always remember from this year is talking about that track.
Yeah.
So of course I'll always remember what it sounds like. So,
Gentlemen, I think we have a winner.
I think we do.
Sounds like Covet's taking that round.
Covet effloresce is our winner.